idea, Mel. Now it's my turn.
What are you doing?
I'm tired of running away. Did Braveheart run away? Did Payback run away? It's time we showed those suits what we're made of.
The heck is that?
Well, the one on the left is Mel Gibson. I don't know who the other two guys are.
Will you please tell me the rest of the plan?
It's your plan from Braveheart. Your army mooned the enemy until they could take no more and surrendered.
No, they didn't. They attacked us in a horribly bloody battle. Remember?
Actually, I didn't see it, but on the poster it's...
Homer, are you okay?
I think so. No?
Four-finger discount, dude.
Welcome to Four Finger Discount. We've finally made it. We're here. It is season 11. I'm excited. Today we're here to review Beyond Blunderdome episode AAB F23. I am Dando. And I'm joined right now by, I think, Mitch? Have you changed your hair?
No, I know I'm looking a lot more handsome and also a lot more round. I'm not the lean, mean Mitch that you used to. No, folks, stepping in for Mitch Grinder, coming off the bench hot, is me, Guy Davis.
Guy Davis, you're finally here, sir. I'm very excited.
Finally here in the full-time position. Got kicked upstairs, made it to the A-team, feeling very, very proud, very excited, very happy to be here, I got to say.
You look happy.
I am.
It makes me happy.
Somewhere Mitch is smiling and, well, you know, F that guy. No. Look, I think I said on the previous episode that it's an honour and a bit of a daunting task to sort of, slide into the seat occupied by Mitch, and I only hope that I can do him proud, do you proud, and do right by the listeners. So,
well, the patrons love you.
Well, I love the patrons.
Well, you've been on a few of the patron podcasts, but there's thousands upon thousands of listeners out there right now who probably have never heard your voice before. So maybe you should give them an insight into who Guy Davis is.
An insight into Guy.
Yeah.
All right, settle in, folks. No, there's not a whole lot to tell. What can I tell?
You're experiencing the movie reviewing business, and
then I've got to say how actually long I've been creeping around on the planet and reveal that I'm an old man.
Yeah, well, you got to explain what you're going to bring to the table because it's a lot.
Okay, then.
This guy, listeners, has more movie knowledge than any person you will ever meet.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but certainly more than Dando's met. But Dan and I were actually sitting next to one another the first day I went to work at a place I used to work at. I don't know if we're naming.
Pop Culture's our sponsor. Of course we can say Pop Culture.
Hey, Pop Culture, the purveyor of all things pop and cultural. Yes, it's a good shop, and I highly recommend you buy stuff from them, particularly, I don't know, Funko vinyls or whatever.
It was pretty much like you were on the first day on the job. You're like, excuse me, can you show me how to do this, please?
I'm not exactly sure how this software works. Is your name Brendan? Call me Dando. Everybody calls me Dano. Are you sure?
Then 2 weeks later, how do I do this? Remember those notes I wrote out for you? I've lost them.
That actually never happened.
I know.
I'm probably I've forgotten how to do it. Actually, no, Dano did teach me how to use Photoshop, which I was very happy
with. Did I? I don't even know how to use it, though.
Well,
I would just wing it.
I didn't say you taught me well. But no, that's how Dano and I got started. But then he would ask about, say, have you seen such and such? I said, oh, yeah, it's directed by so-and-so, and it's got that guy in it who was also in this, which is pretty good. And, yeah, if you like that, you might want to check this out also. And
I went, cha-ching.
I was like, I can use this. I can monetize this. So, and then, Dano, of course, wouldn't shut up about this podcast he kept doing. I'm like, yeah, good on you. Good luck with that, man. And then one day he sort of slapped my face with a fat wad of 50s. I'm like, I can monetize this guy, Dando. And a mutually exploitative relationship has emerged ever since. No, it's been my great pleasure to appear on a few sort of reviews that we did for the I guess with the patrons.
We did the Movie Guy podcast.
The Movie Guy podcast, which we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, we now do Talking Seinfeld as well on Patreon.
Talking Seinfeld, and we've done a few other bits and pieces along the way, a couple of commentaries.
Take It Like a Mandalorian?
Take It Like a Mandalorian, yes.
That was good fun. That was sort of like our first chance to do a proper podcast together, wasn't it?
It was, and I think it rolled very, very nicely. We're looking forward to resuming that if and when The Mandalorian ever comes back.
Well, it's finished production, so I'm assuming it would be coming back at this normal time.
I think so. I think they've just sort of pulled the pin for
so they haven't finished filming everything yet.
Oh, maybe they're doing post-production or something like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but either way, I mean,
we need more Baby Yoda in our life, or Yodito, as we refer to him.
We refer to him as Yodito. Yeah. But yeah, so there's going to be more of that in the future. But yes, in the meantime, with Mitch sort of searching out greener pastures, I've decided to take over in the meantime. When I say the meantime, I mean forever.
Mitch sent me a message today. He goes, so now I'm not doing the podcast and cricket's been cancelled. I don't know what to do anymore.
That's on you, man. Feel free to come back anytime. Well, not anytime, but, let us know when you're dropping by and, maybe we'll be here.
Special guest. Mitch Grinter. No,
welcome
he's
back.
not here.
Back by popular demand.
What did we do this week in the Patreon group on our Facebook? We asked the patrons, new season, new show, new co-host. What do you want us to change? What do you want us to tweak? What do you want us to completely get rid of? Like, what this show is for you guys. What do you want? And they told us things like more in-depth analysis on the episode, which I agree with. I feel like the last maybe few episodes we probably didn't give them the episodes the respect they deserved. We sort of skimmed through them, so it's going to be a big... Well, this is the best episode for you to start with because you're the movie guy. This is a very movie-based episode. So we're going to go really in-depth reviews. Also, new names. So you'll be aware that each week we ask the patrons for their new names, but we're going to be up in the ante this season. So Guy's going to run through the new names that get read out, the ones that didn't make the cut, like the ones that aren't as great as the best, but they're also going to pick your top three and give them 1, 2, 3 votes. At the end of each week, there's going to be a leaderboard. At the end of the season, whoever's on top of that leaderboard wins himself a prize.
A prize?
Yes. And speaking of prizes, we're going to be giving away a monthly prize draw of $50 Pop Culture E gift card at the end of this episode. So stay tuned for that.
You got to see Dando's eyes going wide here. I mean, he is just... He's like a kid in a candy store, just like, oh, we're going to give away stuff.
And, well, I love giving away stuff. It's great fun. And the patron mailbag, by the way, guys, we're going to be switching up a bit. Instead of the patron mailbag being before the review, they're now going to be after the review. So if you just listen to this show for the episode dissection, you're going to love that because you can listen to us, give our thoughts, dissect the episode. If you don't want to hear the mailbag, that's fine. You can switch off. I highly recommend you stay tuned because it's going to be great times.
Stick
around for the whole episode. But the patron mailbag is going to be after the review.
This is a lot to take in.
You're sitting there going, I don't know what to do with this anymore.
This is a very fast-moving machine. I'm just sort of like running, like a hobo running alongside a freight train trying to, get on board and find a place to sleep for the night.
Yeah. We're well aware that out there in the real world, there's this thing called the coronavirus going on. And we could talk about it, but we're not going to because this podcast is a chance to escape from that reality.
It exists. You are probably self-isolating or quarantining right now, and we're going to provide you with something to listen to in the meantime. Not just this show, but other shows as well. There'll be Talking Seinfeld. There'll be some movie-related stuff.
Yeah.
There'll be Simpsons commentaries going back to the very, very beginning of the show.
Yeah, available now on Patreon. Yeah.
And I'm not exactly tech-savvy, but Dando is going to apparently teach me how to organize my laptop so we don't even have to be in the same room. So, we could be both.
Finally.
I'm just sick of looking
10 minutes and I'm over it.
Stop breathing on me, man.
We're probably going to need that, though, realistically.
At some stage, one of our elected officials is going to say, stay inside. But, we may be sitting on our respective couches or whatever one night. Like, I'm thinking about watching, I don't know, John Wick Chapter 2. Want to load it up and we'll record a commentary with the patrons? Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
And, we may be doing things like that. I'm not making any promises.
So the game plan basically is to pump out as much content as possible.
And put it in your ears.
So your thoughts on Beyond Blunderdome? As I said, the perfect episode for you to kick off with.
I think so. Yeah, look, it's an enjoyable one, absolutely. And I mean, I think getting an A-lister to play themselves and also, more importantly, sort of take the piss out of themselves.
That's the key. Playing themselves. Everyone knows Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Just having be Mel Gibson because he was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at that point.
Oh, goodness, yeah. I mean,
2000, yeah.
Oh, I mean, he had 3 consecutive hits at the box office.
Was it Braveheart?
That was like 5 years earlier.
That was 95, wasn't it?
Yeah. This is 1999. I think he made Payback, which I think did quite well.
Well, this came in 99, you're right. Yeah,
right, but in 2000, he was a voice in Chicken Run.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
He was Rocky the Rooster.
When was he What Women Want? When was that?
That was also in 2000, and he also had, what's the other one?
I also did like Ransom. Give me back my son.
Oh, no, fantastic movie. I was going to watch that last night, and then but I watched the original Mr. Smith Goes to Washington instead.
I did see that, yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a moment. I think he was also in The Patriot. Which is...
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not only 3 hits, but that's 3 hits in 3 sort of different styles as well. I mean, he's in a kid's movie, he's in a romantic comedy, and he's in a big sort of historical drama.
He is the man.
And he's nailing it in all of them, and he's very charming in what women want. So for him to sort of be successful in all those, Gibbo's kind of riding high at that stage. So to get someone on board like that, to get them to play themselves, to get them to take the piss out of themselves.
That was great as well. He was so willing to just poke fun at himself.
Absolutely. That sort of shows that The Simpsons is pretty much announcing its return with authority. It's like, we're back and we've got Mel Gibson. I mean, look, the showbiz kind of piss-taking as well was...
The Simpsons have done that before.
They have, yeah. And it was fun, but also, I mean, this is the start of the 11th season, right? I mean, the show's kind of part of the establishment now. It's part of the furniture.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can only...
This is where people say the golden era ended. I'm like, I hate that term, the golden era. I mean, every show's always usually better, or it's always better at the start.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
it never stays that good forever.
But right now, I think it's in the middle of a really solid, confident run.
Yeah.
It sort of knows what it is. It knows people are watching. And
Not everyone was talking about The Simpsons, but it was just part of society. By
absolutely.
This point.
Yeah. That's when you could sort of start saying, oh, you could probably do it before.
Like going, excellent.
Or
Just
start
going,
going,
The Simpsons.
I mean, and people aren't even going to sort of point at you, Homer Simpson. They just know.
It's just life.
Yeah, it's just part of the vocab. I think they actually show that, well, look, I'm making a stretch here, but they sort of allude to it at the very, very start with the couch gag. They rock in and it's all sort of, it's the new classic version of Simpsons that we sort of all recognise.
From the almond shorts.
But they're looking at the very early Simpsons.
The almond shorts, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, God, we've moved on a bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, these are the Simpsons you know and love, and this is what it used to be. It's not that anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of announcing this is what it is. But, you know, when you're that sort of established and you're that sort of part of the furniture, it's a little hard to, your teeth aren't as sharp as they used to be. This is around the time that, not to draw comparisons too much, but I mean, South Park was kind of on the rise at this time.
That's why I always feel like South Park was the one that sort of drew viewers away from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Because it was the edgy, funnier.
Yeah. And
Did I say funnier? I guess it was funny to a particular audience.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. It was a show that adults could feel like it was more for them.
Yeah. And I mean, it was the one that was starting to appear on like the cover of Rolling Stone or
That's
whatever.
true, yeah.
Yeah. And as
The South Park movie come out in 98?
No, that's Bigger, Longer and Uncut came out in 99.
99,
So,
was
yeah,
it? Okay,
yeah. I think the show had been
the
going
show
for-
started 97, 98, didn't it?
I reckon, yeah, it was around that time.
And it
so-
just skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Simpsons is kind of the man at this stage and, you know, and South Park is kind of the rascal up and comer.
Yeah.
Look, but I said, this is a Simpsons podcast. We're talking about the Simpsons. And this is a very good episode. I mean, it's a fun episode. It's sort of wised up. It's sort of, I think it asked the audience.
It was outrageous, but not too outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few sort of having a little fart gag from Marge, like, oh, wouldn't have seen that coming or heard that coming. And, you know, a few others. And,
That's Nicola's thing. Nicholas never farted in front of me ever.
For real?
Never. She just won't do it. I'm like, I want you to do it. Just do it. She's like, no.
I've always said, probably more important than the first kiss is the first fart.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like the relationship isn't complete until she farts in front of me.
Yeah, I was in a relationship for 2 years and I never farted in front of my.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that kind of broke us up. And not the fact that like I've got to get out of here and fart. It's more like
she doesn't trust you.
I didn't trust. Maybe I didn't trust myself. I don't know. That's between me and my therapist. But I know that when I started seeing my new girlfriend, like at some stage, certainly not in the first fortnight, but maybe in before 6 months is up.
You think you're going to fart in the first 6 months?
I think you do.
Deliberately? Or just like, like when you do it, do you apologize and go, oh, sorry, I didn't. Oh,
you certainly say.
Or do you just throw it out there and just see what happens?
Well, I think you say, excuse me.
Yeah.
like a human being.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think you can just sit there and be uncomfortable and sort of squirm and get all bloated and everything. I think you just have to let it out and say, I think we're at this stage of our relationship now. And if the other person says, you're a monster, get out, I never want to see you. It's like, oh, well, this was clearly not meant to be.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, it's the great leveler. It's the great equalizer.
It is.
So, yeah. And I mean, how do we get to talking about that?
Oh, because Marge farted.
Oh, that's right. And Nicola did not.
You know what's funny? You actually mentioned how Gibson, clearly one of the biggest stars in the world at this point, they wanted to start with the bang. This episode actually had one of the lowest ratings of the season.
I think season 11 was apparently quite a well-rated season, but this was slightly below the average.
Well, this got an 8.1. Mm-hmm. Now, the 2 episodes after this, I believe, went down like to a 7, then to a 6, and then Treehouse of Horror came, and then it started picking up again. It got as high as like 11.
Oh, okay. I think it averaged out at something like 8.5,
mostly
8.6.
About 8, mid-8s, yeah. So this was about the average, but yeah, I was just surprised that Mel Gibson, at that point in time, you thought would have been much higher.
Maybe.
Considering it was the season premiere as well, but who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe people think Treehouse of Horror is kind of the one you sort of come back to as the return episode. Yeah.
Well, I guess so. But that's the one that, if you're a Simpsons fan, you just know the Treehouse of Horror episodes are going to be good. Mm. You tune in every other week. You're like, oh, this could be good. This might not be. Treehouse of Horror always delivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you hear why Gibson actually agreed to do this?
His kids are big
His
fans.
kids will be fans, and I feel like that's why he really put in a lot of effort, because I've read that he came back and did 3 retakes, and he actually recorded with the cast.
I did.
Which is, I love that. I wish there was footage of that.
Yeah, it's a real sort of it's just a cool move. Yeah. Look, I don't know how many would have done it via Skype or say, no, I need the recording booth all to myself or whatever. But
Well, back then it wouldn't have been Skype. It would have just been some other
it would have been over the phone.
fax machine.
It would have been a fax. So I mean, I think that's a pretty cool move on his part that he and it's very sweet. There's like, oh yeah, I'll do it for my kids. I mean, so you always wonder, when some action star or some movies, I was like, why are you in that kids movie, or why are you the voice of the Iron Giant or whatever? It's like, I did it for my kids. And
So you can actually just admit that you wanted to be in a kids movie as well.
Yeah.
You know that. Like Vin Diesel, it's okay. If Vin Diesel just said, because I wanted to be the Iron Giant, you'd be like, fuck oath, you wanted to be the Iron Giant.
Absolutely. That's a pretty wise move there, Vin.
I think that him being in the studio with the cast as well would benefit the cast, because it allows for improv with Gibson.
Sure.
I'm not sure if any of this was improv, but it just opens the door for that to happen.
Well, even if it's not, improving lines or anything like that, it's just a good opportunity to sort of bounce better off the other actors.
Chemistry
as well.
going, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're just recording dialogue and not hearing the return, it's just like, I don't know, the readings wouldn't be as...
It's a lot harder on the editor to
realistic.
sort of cut it so it's like, oh, yeah, these two are...
So it feels like it, yeah.
Yeah, so the jokes actually work.
I just think it's great that The Simpsons, as a show, is able to create that connection for Gibson and his kids. Like, it's something they can always look back on. You know what I mean? Like, he did this for his kids, and The Simpsons were able to create that opportunity for him.
Absolutely.
I also appreciated how the Springfieldians treated the Hollywood folk like they were a big deal. Like, that's how it would happen. Like, small town, if Hollywood came to do a big Mel Gibson in 2000 or 99 premiere screening, or not premiere, test screener, like, even like the executives, they're like standing ovation for, and it's like, oh, well, should have brought the camera. I just thought that's exactly how it would go down.
Oh, yeah, look, as someone who's attended a lot of preview screenings and of movies and things like that, there's always some, maybe not studio executive, but always a PR person who sort of gets up beforehand and says, and they're usually like 19 or 20 or something.
Okay,
It's their first job. Like, welcome to our preview screening of RoboCop 4. It stars so-and-so and such and was directed by though. It's rated M, and it comes out this Thursday. Hashtag RoboCop 4 on your social media. Thank you. I know, that's a bit cruel, but that's honestly what it sounds like. And you don't know whether to clap at the end. I mean, you've got all the...
Boo, get a haircut.
Don't give up your day job. But yeah.
Can you please boo next time? Just boo and see what happens.
But yeah, it's so... that's one of the aspects that I really liked about this episode, because I've seen... And you can tell when a movie or a studio or whatever has really high hopes for a movie, because the bigwigs will come down from Sydney.
Okay.
It's like, hi, I'm so-and-so from the Sydney office.
Yeah.
And, we're really proud of, Guardians of the Galaxy 6.
We haven't set the intern down this time.
No. It's not the chump working in the second-rate Melbourne office. No, they've flown all the way down, and you're among the first people in the world to see this one. So, let us know what you think, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow, they really, they're pushing this one. If they've got, a dude in a tie coming down.
You actually mentioned Avengers there.
Guardians of the Galaxy, but
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Close
It makes me think of Avengers. Robert Downey Jr. appears in this episode.
That's
What a great turnaround this is. Gibson's now in that position. Well, not. He's made a bit of a comeback now, but we should probably touch on that.
Well, we should, yeah, because I know we're sort of talking about what goes on in the episode, but there's so many sort of offshoots in this. But
Gibson was the biggest star, or one of the biggest stars in the world at that point in time. Robert Downey Jr. was well off track.
Robert Downey Jr. had been in jail.
Yeah,
so he had been.
Mitchell tell me he woke up in a child's bed once or something.
He did. Yeah, I mean, he was so. We putting the swears into this.
Of course you are, man.
Oh, he was so fucked up on drugs that he just went to not his house but someone else's house and fell asleep in a kid's bed. And the family was like, "There's a stranger in a bed." Hey, it's the Academy Award.
It's the soon to be Iron Man.
It's the Oscar-nominated star of Chaplin. And I mean,
what would you do if you found him in your bed?
Look, I'd like to say I'd be all cool about it, but look, initially I'd be terrified. Who is this stranger in my house? Then, to make things even stranger, it's someone who's not a stranger. It's like, aren't you the star of Less Than Zero? Haven't I seen you in Air America opposite, America's sweetheart Mel Gibson? These are all movies he was in, by the way. I mean, so you'd be kind of like, Yeah, am I on drugs now, or is this guy on drugs?
Yeah.
I think this guy in the bed is definitely on drugs, but I might be on some as well. So,
But since this episode aired, obviously,
It's
Danny
been
Jr. is now one of the biggest stars in the world.
absolutely. But I mean, Gibson and Dan and RDJ had this real kind of solid relationship for a
Did they
very long
really?
time.
Okay.
Well, they appeared together in this film Air America. There was like I think it was made in 1990, released in 1990, and they were sort of like these two pilots in Vietnam who operated as part of this covert airline called Air America that sort of shuttled in supplies in and out and sort of smuggled drugs and all that kind of stuff. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
But apparently they got along famously, and, Danny sort of went downhill during the 90s, and just, was having too much fun with his recreational substances and all that.
Was he big star and then he went downhill, or did he sort of never reach his potential?
He was a star on the rise, and he played Charlie Chaplin in this movie Chaplin. It was around 92 or so. Got nominated for an Oscar, but everyone was like, this guy's really, really good. And I don't know if he's an above, he was he starred in a lot of movies, but he's like, is this guy, really ever going to break through? We know he's really talented. We know he's charismatic, but there's something not quite, And then, things started to fall off the rails a bit. I mean, as I said, he actually did time on two separate occasions. He did 6 months in, LA County Jail, and then
Possession or something? Or?
Yeah, something along those lines. And then he did like a year. Well, he was sentenced to 3 years and he got out after a year in some other.
So a serious,
Yeah.
a year's not that long, but it's long enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, I think at some stages he was actually like in general population. I mean, he was like in there it wasn't at club fed. He was in some hardcore joints, so to speak. But all that time, and once he got out and once he sort of started to try and resurrect his career, Gibson, who was on the high at this stage, was like, look, this guy's good. And I think Gibson hired him for a few things.
Just took him under his wing, kind of?
Yeah, and tried to straighten him out. Because, I mean, Gibson's got his own sort of demons, as we know. I mean, the man likes a drink. That's doing my research into this. There was a stage, when Gibson was probably at the height of his success. He was like making Lethal Weapons and all that kind of stuff. But he was having like 5 pints in the morning.
In the morning? Wow.
Yeah, five beers for breakfast. And still, getting the job done and everything like that. I mean, the guy who made Lethal Weapon apparently was like, shocked to learn that his star was drinking this much beer this early in the morning and then going out and playing
delivering still though.
And delivering delivering the goods. So I think he's got a lot of sympathy for people who like that, and apparently he's done that to a few other people as well. He's sort of reached out and said, "Look, I know you're wrestling with problems, with demons, with addictions or whatever. If you want to talk, I'm here for it." Because he's also a bit of a hardcore Christian. He obviously believes in redemption, all that kind of stuff. I know he's got a lot of other. That's the good stuff on the ledger. There's bad stuff in the ledger as well. But yeah, as far as Danny was concerned, he was like, yeah, this guy's a real talent and, we shouldn't write him off. And I think Danny returned the favor a few years later when, he was on top of the world and Gibson was kind of like persona non grata. And I think Danny actually said in front of a crowd like at the Golden Globes or something, it's like, Mel Gibson's good stuff, guys. We shouldn't write him off. Not that Gibson actually...
It's like full circle.
Yeah, pretty much. Not that... Gibson was like sleeping in a ditch or anything like that. The dude's worth $500 million.
Yeah, but his stock was just gone.
He wasn't sort of like on A-lists or anything like that.
It was sort of like he'd made his money, but no one wanted to touch him anymore.
Yeah,
it was like there was a stigma with him.
Yeah, even just a few years ago, I mean, he directed that war movie Hacksaw Ridge,
which apparently is fantastic.
It's very good. It's very violent.
Okay.
I mean, that's the other thing that Mel likes. Mel likes violence, which
Braveheart,
is well, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. In this episode.
So do you think that was sort of like a play on who he is?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
do you think like he loves the violence? Not that loves violence, but he loves the violence in films. He loves that kind of action bravo.
Yeah, and I think he likes having it inflicted on him as well. He certainly punches up and shoots a lot of people in his movies, but he really takes it as much as he gives it out. He's always, getting whipped or beaten or shot or whatever. And there's a rare, it's a rare Mel Gibson movie where he's not sort of bloody and battered by the end of it. Probably what women want. That's the exception. Sorry, we're talking a bit about. We've sort of gone off tangent a bit, but yeah, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is in this with the gag that, I don't see any cameras.
Which would have been really funny at the time, but I feel like people there's going to be people out there who are watching this episode for the first time.
Why are you taking the piss out of RDJ like that?
Why is he having a shootout? Yeah. But he was on a bad path.
He was indeed. I mean, I think it was around this time that he just started to make a little bit of a comeback.
Is his comeback as Iron Man the greatest comeback in Hollywood history almost?
It is one of the great turnarounds, absolutely. Yeah, I did like that little Downey Jr. It was like, it's a shootout.
Yeah, I don't see any cameras. Listeners out there right now, they're going, fuck, he wasn't lying. He knows a lot about fucking films.
Also, will he shut up?
Yeah. We must also mention how good Jack Burns was in this as Edward Christian.
He was indeed. Now, I don't know if I'm sort of getting ahead of myself here, or if it's something we want to say for trivia stuff or whatever, but
yeah.
Jack Burns' character name is Edward Christian. The two PR people's names are
Robin Hanna and William Milo.
These are all the names of Gibson's kids.
No shit.
Yeah, Robin was his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And I think all the others are the names of his kids. Milo is certainly one of his kids. William Christian. Hannah is his daughter. And what was the other one?
Edward,
yeah. They're all his kids from his first marriage.
Fuck, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's a nice kind of...
I guarantee you there's not a fucking listener out there that would have put the two and two... Or maybe there was someone out there, but...
Well, I must admit...
You have to be a pretty hardcore Mel Gibson fan to know that fact.
I only knew about... I remembered Milo because it's a slightly unusual name and also a tasty beverage. But...
I wonder if they got Milo overseas. Surely. Do they have Milo in England? I have to ask Nicola after the podcast.
For our international listeners, it's like Bisquick, or it's the adding of chocolate to milk. It's what it is. So, but it's a little crunchy as well. Milo's good stuff. If you can, I don't know, if C19 has not stopped, importing and exporting, get some Milo. I'm pretty sure Amazon Australia will sell you some.
For some reason, when I was a kid, I felt like if I was going to go for a bike ride, I should have a glass of Milo first.
They did again. We're talking about good branding. The fact that Mars is able to say a Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play, as opposed to it's a chocolate bar. And Milo is the stuff that, it's like, it's going to give you energy. It's like, it's chocolate milk. Yeah. it's nice chocolate milk.
Got sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar and milk.
Yeah, that's the energy it's giving you. It's just a fake energy boost. But
But Jack Burns as Christian was great.
It was good. Yeah, he was good stuff. I mean, I did like that. One of my favorite gags was just when he's like, oh, yeah, he's a dummy, but he's good at the box office.
Awkward pause, yeah.
It needs that, I can't remember the episode that it was on, but there's the Simpsons has a lot of stand-up comedy bits. But there was the one guy who kind of, I think about crazy stuff. What if E.T. and so-and-so, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he does that little gesture at the end with the hands.
Phone home.
Yeah. It's like, come on, give it up, give it up. Yeah, you need to sort of cut in that guy every now and go, come on, give it up.
Give me something here.
Give me that. But he was good. That was he was a part of a comedy duo, I believe.
Yeah, Avery Schreiber. And there was someone prior to that as well. But the whole where he goes, I didn't know what was going on there, but Wikipedia, I learned there that was their shtick.
One of their little catchphrases, yeah.
Yeah. There was also a lot of Mel Gibson film references in this.
There were indeed.
Yeah, we had the Braveheart poster in the studio office. We had him driving the Mad Max 2 car, which we'll go into more detail later, which I thought was fantastic.
I'm going to be very sort of pedantic about that, but yes, we'll get to that when we get to that, absolutely.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. What guy didn't like about the episode?
Oh, no, I like plenty of stuff about the episode, but I'm like, I'm not sure. I feel like the comic book guy, I'm not sure if that's actually correct.
And I'm getting too old for this crap.
Yes. Actually said by Danny Glover in the Lethal Weapon movies, but, a good reference. Also, a shout out to Payback, which is a good Mel Gibson movie, I've got to say.
What was the shout out to Payback?
Yeah. Did Braveheart do that? Did Payback do that to us?
Did Payback run away or something? Also, so the Gibson throwing the senator badge at the end of the film is a reference to the ending of Dirty Harry.
It is. Yes. I don't think US senators actually get badges that say US senator.
Hey, my favorite.
Now, what was your favourite moment from the episode? Or moments? What did you appreciate the most? What made you chuckle wholeheartedly?
I did like Homer and Marge in bed. Well, after they've taken the electric car for a test drive. We haven't opened this prize. I liked all that bit. It just seemed weird.
Some people look at that as lazy writing, but I appreciated it.
I did, yeah. It's like, just, we cut out the middleman. We make a joke out of it as well.
Most shows would just do that, and sitcoms do that all the time, where something will happen out at the restaurant or whatever, but they won't talk about it until they walk in the front door. Yeah, it's like, what were you talking about between the restaurant and home? That's what they were acknowledging that here.
Acknowledge how awkward it is, and make a gag out of it. That was well done. But then once the talk turns to Mel Gibson and Marge is getting sort of noticeably turned on, I did like the line about, well, you or Lenny have voted sexiest man alive. I'm not so sure about Lenny. it's just great delivery by Mr.
Castellaneta.
Castellaneta.
Was it Netta? Castellaneta? Castellaneta.
Yeah, great work by Dan.
Yes. We'll call him Dan going forward.
Look, I've got a list of faves here, but I think I've already talked about the PR people and how, yes, they get unwarranted applause sometimes.
Need salt.
And just everyone's kind of like, yeah, that's a great inside joke. It's like, it's not even a joke. The RDJ, Rob Downey Jr. I did like the shot of Man's Chinese Theatre, then the shot of the Chinese Man Theatre, which is just not doing any business at all.
I'm just like, was that a joke that was meant to mean something, or was it just meant to be a poor man's theatre?
It's just a dumb pun. It's just a dumb play. Okay, well, that's Man's Chinese Theatre, and this is a Chinese man's theatre. Clearly not doing as well.
And it's like it's funny when it's not funny, but you feel sad when you go to a restaurant. And like one business is booming, and then next door, the guy standing in front looking inside going, why aren't you in my store?
Yeah. I mean, they have that occasionally at Geelong reference for...
we love our local references here. 450 discount.
When you're going down Little Malib Street in the sort of foodie district that's sprung up recently, and, it's got Hot Chicken Project and Pistol Pete's and all these other sort of new places that are kind of hip and, quite frankly, sell nice food. And there's one or two places that... selling international cuisine, and they'll sometimes have someone at the front saying, we would like some of this action too, And like, dude, you've been here for 20 years and I haven't eaten at you yet, so I don't think I'm about to start now. I wish you all the best, buddy, but sorry, this is not happening for you.
If there was a blind there, you'd pull it down.
You're kind of walking by, lifting up your collar. Maybe he won't see me. Yeah, so, it's always a bit sad. But but I did like the whole man's Chinese man's theatre thing. And, we were talking about Gibson's sort of status in Hollywood now, and I don't know how he's regarded by the new generation and all that. And there was just a nice line at the end where he's saying, I guess there's no room in today's crazy gentle America for violent dinosaurs like us. And that sort of is the case. I mean...
It's funny how some lines from 20 years ago can still be relevant now.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean... Look, Gibson's still making movies, some quite successful. I mean, Hacksaw Ridge, which we mentioned earlier, that got nominated for a few Oscars. He was back, not front row at the Academy Awards, but
everyone was like, Mel's back.
Well, they were like, Mel's back,
Is it okay for him to be back? I guess so.
Yeah. I mean,
has it been?
He's got a lot of high-end Hollywood friends who are saying, look, he's actually the nicest guy. He probably just shouldn't drink.
It does change people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've got some people say, when...
He said some outlandish shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And he's done some outlandish shit as well. I mean, my line when I was writing reviews about Gibson's movies was, look, he's clearly a troubled and troubling individual.
Did you turn on him as a reviewer?
I didn't.
You didn't, no.
Look, maybe it's a sign of low character on my part, but I mean, I'm a big believer in separating the art from the artist for the most part. Look, as long as the work he was doing was...
Were you there to review the work, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I mean, it's not my job to pass moral judgment on the person. I mean, if it bleeds into their work, absolutely sort of look at that. But no, for the most part, I was seeing how, say, The Passion of the Christ sort of affected me as a person and as...
That was fucking controversial, that movie.
Absolutely. But it's also, a thing that kind of made his fortune as well because he put all his own money into it.
That was a big risk.
Yeah, that was a huge swing.
Yeah.
And
paid off.
And one that paid off, absolutely. Yeah. But... look, I can't condone some of the stuff that he's done after hours if that's actually the way it went down, and there's evidence to indicate that certainly is the way it went down.
Yeah,
but no, I didn't turn on the guy, and I'm also a sucker for like Mel himself. I'm a believer in redemption. And, I think the guy has redeemed himself to some degree.
My favourite moments were I love Homer admitting that he checks for bombs in the toilet. He does,
I never would have checked if there was a bomb in my toilet. There was really.
And the terrible Dan impersonation of Travolta. Oh, jeez.
I wrote that down as well. It's so terrible because I mean...
Come on, jeez.
Well, we mentioned South Park earlier, and I mean, it would be a few years before they did their Trapped in the Closet episode where they were sort of taking the mickey out of Scientology and all that. And I don't know who does the Travolta impersonation on that. It's probably Trey Parker, but it's really funny and it's really good. He's like, oh, come on, guys. I mean, Travolta's one of those guys. He's easy to do broad, but he's kind of difficult to nail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's got that kind of thing going on. I mean, that's
everyone channels Grace Travolta when
very
they do
much so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yo, baby, you dig it the most, the Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
It's like, that's nowhere near a good impersonation, but I mean, he's easy to sort of get in the ballpark of. But Dan's was just awful.
Yeah, but it was so funny though. Oh, jeez.
So Travolta was back certainly back in the public eye.
General's Daughter was like 98-ish.
Yeah. So this is
Swordfish was 2001. So
Yeah, so this is
between.
General's Daughter phenomenon, I think around that time.
Yeah.
So.
Facts are meaningless. You can use facts to prove anything that's even remotely true. Facts, Max.
This was Mike Scully. Now, Mike Scully is the showrunner at this point in time.
Yes.
This was his first writing credit since taking over the show. So he wrote the episode, and a lot of people credit Scully for being the guy who created the jerk-ass Homer. That's the term, jerk-ass Homer, the one that you don't like anymore. And there are elements of him here in there where he sort of says he doesn't like to spend time with his family and things like that. But I think overall, Scully produced a really solid story here that didn't require a B-plot or anything. It was just, he nailed it, really.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, you've got the electric car bit at the start, and you think, oh, is this
Going
what's this going to
anywhere?
be about? Yeah, but it's just the setup. And then from there on, the electric car is just gone. You're right about the jerk-ass Homer thing. I mean, certainly there are lines in here where, I mean, that whole thing about, see this ring? That indicates that she's my property. It's like...
There were some cringeworthy moments, which we'll explain when we do the run-through. But as Mitch and I have explained, though, this came out in 99. TV was different then. That would never fly now.
Absolutely. But I don't think any sort of right-thinking person is going to, yeah, you tell him, Homer. It's like...
It's not designed for that. It's designed to make him seem like an idiot.
Yeah. It's the kind of line where it's like, you really are a jerk sometimes, aren't you?
Now, Scully first met Gibson whilst writing jokes for a school fundraiser along with his wife, Julie Thacker. Gibson and Daniel Stern were the hosts for said evening.
Daniel Stern, the voiceover guy from the Wonder Years and Star City Slickers and other things.
And Home Alone.
And, of course, Home Alone.
Yeah, that's what every 90s kid knows him as.
Every 80s kid knows him as the co-pilot of the helicopter in the Roy Scheider action movie Blue Thunder from 1982.
Okay.
Check it out.
But, so he wrote jokes for Stern and for Gibson. What a gig that would be. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Just rocking up to some sort of event and they need jokes. Would you feel sort of like overwhelmed or would you give it a crack?
I think I'd give it a crack. Yeah.
Why not, I guess?
What's Mel Gibson going to do? Actually, it's a good question.
Don't ask.
No, but I'd certainly take a whirl of that.
Yeah, and the joke about him urinating behind a dumpster, that actually happened. So Gibson read that line and thought, oh, how did you know that I do that? And they're like, oh, no, we just wrote that in because we thought that'd be something ridiculous for someone of your status to do. And he's like, no, that's what he would do to avoid going to the public toilets.
Oh,
with
absolutely.
People. Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing worse than being bailed up at the urinal by some chump.
Hey, everyone run over there.
which I actually did to Rob Lowe, you may have heard in a previous episode.
Did you tell me that?
I told you the Rob Lowe story, didn't I?
You bailed up Rob Lowe.
I didn't bail him up. Here's the short version. I pissed next to Rob Lowe. No, I was in the National Geographic office in Washington, D.C. This is about 7 years ago. It was to promote I was there reporting on some show that he'd made where he played JFK. We had a nice lunch, went in to take a leak. So wouldn't it be funny if Rob Lowe came in right now? And Rob Lowe came in right then.
Is he as gorgeous in real life as he on TV?
He's a handsome devil.
Yeah.
Yes. That Adkins diet that he's advertising on TV is clearly working for him.
Yeah.
And he was very friendly. I mean, we didn't check out each other's junk or anything like that, but, I said, hey, thanks for today.
You considered it?
I did, absolutely.
But so
just as he did, I'm sure.
How did you start the conversation with him? Just...
he'd been doing some interviews and I said, look, thanks for your time today, man.
And he's just willing to chat to you for a bit?
Absolutely. He was a perfectly nice fella.
If you're a fan of everything we do here at Four Finger Discount, you can show your support by joining the family at patreon.com/fourfingerdiscount. Here you'll get ad-free early access to all of our shows, Zoom calls with Guy and myself, as well as bonus podcasts such as Tales of Futurama and Guy on Springfield, where we go back and revisit classic episodes from the first 10 seasons. So go ahead and join the family today at patreon.com/fourfingerdiscount.
Next question. You there, eating the paste.
It's back. Trivia is back. It's your first time, so I figured I'll let you kick off.
Oh, fantastic. I appreciate that. Okay, then. When Mel and Homer are making their desperate escape from the movie studio, they burst through a poster of a movie called She's Having a Baby Again.
Yes.
This is a sequel that never happened to a movie that did happen.
Well, there was a film called She's Having a Baby.
Okay. Who wrote and directed that movie?
I have no idea.
He's one of your favorites. Or one of them.
Wrote and... Well, it's not Spielberg.
No. It's John Hughes.
What, Home Alone, right?
Like Breakfast Club and
Yeah, but I'm thinking of, he did Home Alone though, didn't he?
He did Home Alone. He wrote Home Alone.
Yeah, he wrote Home Alone. Yeah, okay. Okay, so he wrote that first one because that sequel never happened. But it's a funny visual though, isn't it? Going through the.
It's a bit schoolboyish, but yes, it's pretty funny.
My first question is: Gibson stars in a remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. What year was that film released?
That film was released in 1939.
Well done.
It's actually in my notes here because there's a line in the show where they're talking about things were different in the 30s. They had plenty of time to listen. Everything was going great. And it's like, the 30s terrible? The 30s was like the Great Depression and the start of World War II. And, you know.
They had The Wizard of Oz, though.
They did indeed. 39 was a very good year for Hollywood. But, that was the year of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which I watched last night.
Yeah. Did it give you any sort of like extra knowledge to talk about for this episode, or was it just
not really? I mean, the stuff in the Senate that the episode sort of takes the mickey out of is pretty. It's a lot like that. I wrote on Facebook like this is like it was broadcast from another planet. It's very much about truth and decency and the American way and all this kind of business. And it's like, I think we're a little more, even the movie's still kind of cynical about it. I mean, it talks a lot about backroom sort of double dealing and politicians being in the pocket of big business and all that. But it's all, its message is very much like politicians are there to serve the people and to be decent and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh man.
I did love that, his granddaughter at the end. You were here for my lawyers. What's your next question, Mr. Davis?
This is not really about this episode so much, but it is Simpsons related and is Mel Gibson related. Because,
okay.
Yes. A few seasons earlier,
yes,
in a court case involving Marge Simpson, the lawyer prosecuting Marge was so certain of Marge's guilt. I am so confident of Marge Simpson's guilt that I'm going to waste the court's time rating the super hunks.
I thought you were going to say they're not wearing a tie at all.
Also a good bit. There's all the stuff with Lionel Hudson and anything with courtrooms is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Question.
He held up 2 magazine covers. One had Mel Gibson on. Who was the other super hunk?
Tom Cruise?
It was Tom Cruise.
Oh, what a guess.
Nicely done. Your next question, sir.
My next question is, yours is so much more elaborate than mine.
The best questions are the one you have to spend 5 minutes explaining.
Yeah. Remember that episode from 6 seasons ago?
What?
My second question is, what was the name of the film studio that Edward Christian was the head of?
Was it Polystar?
Polystar. Well done. Yeah. Yes.
Well, they're at Polystar Studios. Rainier Wolfcastle is starring in a movie called Saving Irene Ryan.
Yes.
Just the appearance of Irene Ryan on that episode may give you an indication of the show that she's most famous for. But what was the TV show that she was most famous for?
Beverly Hillbillies.
She
was the grandma.
There you go.
Yeah, she was Granny. She was
Granny.
Yeah, I loved that show when I was a kid. I fucking loved it. Used I don't know, like 5:30 in the afternoon on Channel 9.
It wasn't. I don't know if Irene Ryan ever did much else, but she certainly nailed the role of Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies.
What car does Mel drive?
Oh, you mean like when they get to
the studio? Yeah,
I want to say. Is it a Chevrolet?
It is a Dodge Caravan.
Dodge Caravan. Nice.
Yeah. Apologies, listeners, if you can hear the little dude outside. He's full of energy.
He's full of beans.
Next question for you, Mr. Davis.
They visit a car museum at some stage, and there are many famous Hollywood cars in there. Other than the Mad Max car that's in there, name 2 other cars.
I can name more than 2.
I think
there's the Munstermobile, the Flintstonemobile, Duke of Hazzard car, the Batmobile.
For bonus points, what's the actual name of the Duke of Hazzard car?
I shouldn't. What is it?
It's the General Lee.
Yeah. The Batmobile's in there. Obviously, the Mad Max one, like you said. Oh, there's another one though.
Oh, good Lord, you've done well here. You've got bonus points.
I should know it. No. What did I miss out on?
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay. I thought you just have them all listed there.
Oh, not all of them. I thought you'd go for the most obvious ones like the Flintstones car and the Batmobile.
Yeah. What was the name of the gate guard at the film studio? He says, "So long,
Gus."
Gus. Yes.
Now, is there? Oh, do I owe you one more?
You owe me one more. Okay. Do you not have one more? That's okay if you don't have one more, because I've got one more.
Well, you go with yours.
Okay, and you'll think of one.
And I will.
Okay. My final question is, what did Marge use her last photo on?
Oh, for the life of me, I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Someone who looked like someone.
Oh, that man who looked like Judge Judy. Okay. I do have a question. Yeah, 2 high-profile lesbians were sitting on on their porch. One was Ellen DeGeneres. Who was the other one?
Anne Heche?
Anne Heche.
Yeah, that was her pre-Porsche.
It was, yeah. And I think Ellen clearly has a type.
Yeah, that was, by the way, one of the cringe moments.
It was.
I'm lesbian. I'm like, oh.
It was, but I mean, it did seem at that time that there was, they were on the covers of magazines a lot, sort of, not just saying we're a couple, but yeah, we're a lesbian couple. It's like, well.
Oh, so they were sort of like just
they were very high profile about it, which is, and that's actually pretty good. I mean, when I know we talk about how, it was a different time and all that, but yeah, that kind of representation really sort of did move things forward a bit.
So that is trivia for this week. Well done, Mr. Davis.
Well done, Mr. Dano.
We shouldn't shake hands.
No, we were about to.
We nearly did.
Give a nice little wave across the table.
Play footsies under the table. Now, Mr. Davis, before we get into our review of Beyond Blunderdome, we've got some shout-outs to read out. And this review is brought to you by our beloved $20 patrons. We've got Jordan Mulman Ritchie, David Harrington, Christopher Darby, and Jared Howard. Thank you guys for your support. Also, we've got some new shout-outs for $5 plus patrons. Would you like to read some names out for them?
Absolutely.
So we've got here $5 plus patrons. We'll start here. I'll kick off with Tim Whiffen. Who else have we got, Mr. Davis?
Cody, turn it Codie?
Yeah, Cody. That'll be Cody.
There you go. Adam Wilkinson, Andrew Kellogg, Pierce Adams, Elaine, the one named Elaine. Oh, like Madonna. Damien Miller, QWERTY Hurty.
Yeah, QWERTY Hurty is just their name. QWERTY.
Okay.
Why not?
It's a thing. Michael Bartley, Philip Banks, and Adam Void.
Thank you so much.
What a terrific surname.
Yeah, Void. Yeah.
Into the void. All right. Welcome, you deep-pocketed individuals. Thank you so much for sharing your hard-earned with us.
Yes, it keeps the show running. Now, Mr. Davis, we're going to get into our review of Beyond Blunderdome. When was the original air date in America? Do you have that one?
Yes, this actually aired on the 26th of September 1999. We were all terribly worried about the Y2K and what the future would hold, and little do we know this was probably one of the last happy times in the world.
The chalkboard gag is Fridays are not pants optional, and the couch gag was the one that you mentioned earlier, with the crudely drawn Tracy Ullman short version of The Simpsons on the couch. And they all see each other and scream and run off. What does the episode kick off with?
Let's see. Watching television?
Yeah, commercial for the electric car.
That is correct, yes. And
Electoris is what it's called.
Electoris?
I'd buy that car.
Anything with Taurus in it, I think. Yeah. It's probably the most masculine sounding of the astrological signs, I reckon.
Yeah, it is. I think it just reminds me of dinosaurs as well. Like Truckosaurus.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But gets an ad for the electric car. Not that interested until the mention of the
free gift.
The free gift.
What I also love is that he goes, my kids deserve to see me get a free gift, as opposed to my kids deserve a healthy atmosphere. So they're at the Electoris.
At the car yard?
Is it the only place they sell Electorises?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't look like a regular sort of car showroom or anything like that. Just looked like the place for Electors. I did like the animation has sort of evolved a bit. I like seeing Homer's eyes at half mast like that sometimes when it's kind of like, it always indicates that he's really not into this all that much. Yeah.
I also noticed that the animation was better watching this, because we've been going back and watching the originals for commentaries.
Yes.
The animation was much clearer and crisp on Disney Plus with the widescreen enough. Yeah, obviously maybe they changed from the way they produced the show. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was much easier on the eye to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lisa is proud of her father, and then she realizes, wait a minute, you're just here for the free gift. I still like the things he said about me. Then we get the moment you mentioned earlier with the burping.
Thinking of saying goodbye to gas?
You betcha. Bart? Well, that shut me up.
I remember that being used on the ad. For some reason, I don't know why I remember that.
Real?
I remember that being one of the selling points for the episode, hearing Marge fart. Homer's pretending to show interest. I love the little wink and the giggle as he's trying to pretend.
Mm-hmm. Also, I've written down, what kind of mint?
Yeah.
I think, so yeah, getting the spiel about the environment. Yeah, clearly. What kind of mint?
What was good about this electric car segment was it really had nothing to do with the episode. Well, it didn't at all. It was just a way to get the prizes, but they kept it short. So it didn't feel overbearing. It was a reason to get the free gifts, and that's it.
Yeah, and they, it was fairly joke dense. I mean, they threw a fair bit of humor into there, both verbal and visual. I mean, I did like when they sort of ended up crashing the car into the bay or whatever it was.
It burns
and just electrocuting everything, including mermaids.
Yeah.
And
And dolphins. You can't kill dolphins, man.
Can't kill dolphins.
You're a monster if you kill dolphins.
As we said, 1999 was a different time. We weren't even down with killing dolphins then, but
Ever.
No, it's not cool.
I did also, when Marge says the quiet engine allows for more conversation, Homer's like, that's just one of the things that's bad about it. Are you like that in the car? It depends who you're with, obviously. But if you're going for a drive, sometimes I prefer just no speaking.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess you're with the right person when it's comfortable to do that.
100%.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing like good conversation, but there's also nothing like, good, comfortable silence.
Yeah,
it talks about confidence and ease in the other person's company. Yeah, so,
Because it gets very annoying, especially when you're like trying to watch TV or something and the other person's just trying to talk to you about what you're watching. It's like, I'm aware, I'm watching it. Shut up.
What you're saying is, not really enhancing my viewing experience all that much. It's not like a director's commentary here.
Homer drives it into the harbour, like you said, and it leaves behind. I don't think this would ever be allowed, just ditching the car in that kind of...
No.
Like, just on fire, it burns. It's always great when the Simpsons have the robotic or the electric cars.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I programmed to feel pain?
But yeah, you're right. It's very much sort of
very short, like a minute and a half.
Let's just get through this. We need to get to the envelope that's got the prize.
Yes,
and that's going to set everything in motion.
So they're in bed.
Yes, which we talked about earlier. It's like, hey, we didn't open that prize, which is the main reason we did this thing in the first place.
The whole purpose for the first 2 minutes of this episode.
Yeah. I imagine the writers could have probably worked out a way where it's like,
Homer finds them somewhere.
Let's open it instantly or whatever.
Yeah,
but they've got to be in bed because Marge has got to be turned on by Mel Gibson. So it makes sense.
I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
because she has to pounce on Homer. Yeah.
Yeah. But for them to sort of make a not a bad, uncomfortable joke, but just, oh, that's right. Yeah, we didn't do that. Well, maybe we should do that now, and sort of play it out that way. I think it's just funny, and it's certainly amusing in this case.
What do you think of Homer's jealousy? It's believable. For example, I'll give you an example. Nicola loves Tom Hawkins, Geelong footballer, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't bother me. But sometimes when she's just like, oh, let's check out his legs, I'm like, I've got legs too.
I must confess, I mean, I think there'll be times I'll be watching some show with Lou or whatever and thinking, so-and-so's attractive. I'll probably keep that to myself. Because,
especially if you haven't farted in front of them yet.
Well,
either.
True, yes. But you know your partner and you love them and care for them, and but at the same time, you don't know how, and you think you know how you each express it yourselves.
Because that's a seed you might not want to plant.
True. You never know if something's going to be misconstrued, or you might sort of just phrase it indelicately or just the wrong way, and they're like, oh man, this is going to open a whole damn can of worms. So keep that one to yourself. But in the case of Mel Gibson, who could keep their lusty desires to themselves? You couldn't. Marge certainly couldn't.
No. And the way she pounces on him, it's very similar to, like, don't ask me why, but when people read 50 Shades of Grey, this was the result.
Oh yeah, I know people who basically set up their own red rooms. Not quite as elaborate as that, but they certainly flirted with some of the 50 Shades.
Tried to reenact.
That's
extreme.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't go full S&M dungeon kind of thing, but I think they might have incorporated a little bit of that. I'm not naming names. On it.
But now we get Homer, like Marge pounces on Homer. Are you thinking about me, right? Of course. Thinking about me? I am now.
People magazine says he's a devoted father, goes to church every week, and likes to fix things around the home. Let's make love.
Okay. You're thinking about me, right?
Of course, homie. Aren't you thinking about me?
I will now.
Is it okay to think about others during sex?
I don't think you're doing it right if you are.
Nah. Like, if you have to think about something else, something's not right.
Yeah.
Well, that's just my opinion.
No, that's certainly my opinion as well. I don't think I don't think you should be thinking about someone else while you're with someone. The thought never really occurred to me. I'm just happy to be here, man.
You're just thinking of rainbows and sunshine lollipops, yeah? I dread to think what you're thinking of.
Not lollipops, you freak.
So they're at the test screening, and comic book guy gets thrown out for leaking what would have been, in 1999, a VCD over 2 discs.
Very much so. But
on 2 CDs.
Around that time was also really I remember when I first started thinking, well, the internet's a thing, as opposed to, there was actually a time when you thought, well, this internet's a funny new device or whatever, but you could view it as possibly a fad.
Yeah.
Well, this is not going to replace TV or radio or anything like that. It's just sort of like,
people just didn't think that was going to happen? Or?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this was clear in the very early days when people were just first starting to adopt it into their lives.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, but not everyone has access to computers and all that kind of business.
Yeah.
I think it was around 97 or 98 when I first started paying proper attention to it.
This thing's going to steal my job.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't think that at the time. I was like, oh, this will be a nice sort of, sideline to that. Fantastic. Cut to me sleeping in a ditch. But, being a film nerd, I was kind of looking at film sites. Like, there was one called Ain't It Cool News that was kind of the first real film nerd site. And was run by this big, overweight guy out of Texas.
Okay.
Who basically looked like comic book guy.
Really?
Yeah. But also,
ponytail and all?
Yeah, I think.
Ooh, okay.
You can look up Harry Knowles on Google and, you're basically looking at a comic book guy. Ain't It Cool's thing was, we've got spies all over the place who were sneaking into test screenings, and they'll give you the advance word on Batman and Robin or, Starship Troopers or the new Godzilla movie or whatever. This is the stuff the studios don't want you to know about. They're blah, blah, blah. So for them to throw out comic book guy with his all his spy equipment, like, that's a very 1999 thing.
I had a mouse. It's funny, it just reminded me of, there was always that one guy at every workplace that burnt DVDs, and he used to have like a list, a couple of sheets of paper stapled together, a list of movies, and every Friday he'd rock up with a garbage bag. Then we get Jack Burns, and he is not doing the intern introduction. He's actually a big deal. So he greets the audience here at this test screening.
Good evening. I'm Edward Christian, Assistant VP of Finance and Distribution at Polystar Pictures.
Should have brought the camera.
Also with me tonight are the dynamic duo, William Milo and Robin Hanna, who greenlighted all of Shaquille O'Neal's movies, including Kazam. How's the popcorn, guys?
Needs salt.
I did appreciate that they were popular for greenlighting all of Shaq's films.
True. Shaq starred, they were star vehicles for Shaq for a few films. I mean, Kazam, was one of them where he was the genie.
That's the only one I remember from my childhood.
There's one called Steel. I think Steel is like a DC character who's basically just a dude in a suit of armor. I forgot what else Shaq was in. He was in a basketball movie called Blue Chips, I think, that was actually like a proper drama about college basketball.
Kazam was pre-Space Jam, right?
I think so.
Space Jam was 96. Kazam 95?
Believe so, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Kazam. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Shaq movie.
Okay.
In all honesty.
Couldn't bring myself to do it.
No, I couldn't.
But this is where Christian explains the review cards. Basically, they're going to ask for their opinion and then go and change the film in line with what they want, basically. Because the people of Springfield represent the entire American community.
It's something that happens.
Gibson's hiding at the back. I did love here the questions. So this is what sets up Gibson entering. So Frink asks about Flubber.
We then take your cards to Hollywood, California. And change the movie based on your suggestions. Any questions?
Yes, over here. Thank you. Hi. Will there be any flubber in this movie? Hi, Glavin.
No, I'm afraid not.
For crying out, Glavin.
It's a nice callback later. They're like, pretty good despite lack of flubber. Glavin?
Yeah, that delivery from Gibson was so great.
It's very good. He's got a good underrated sense of humour.
Yeah.
When it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah. And Marge asks, will Gibson be here? The whole lie. He's off doing benefits for various diseases. Sneaks in the back.
Also, Krusty passed on this role.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Then he mentions that he was able to fly in because he promised Travolta he'll help him move next week.
He just asked me while we're in the air.
What I love about it is that they come back to it later. Like, you're not when he says Tone is playing around, you're not expecting Travolta.
No.
And even though you should.
Even if it is the dreadful voice, it's still pretty good.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man. You're going to help me move.
So, anyway, Gibson here, he's not very confident, though, is he? He's like, all I do is talk for 2 hours. Not sure whether they're going to like it or not. The dynamic duo here, they think Booty Call was fabulous. And Gibson's a bit worried. So, just taking jabs at the executives, basically. Homer is bored during the screening, but the crowd were very happy with it, weren't they? Homer's just gone in not liking the film purely because of Marge.
Exactly. Your movie was more boring than Church.
That review was great.
That's a really good line.
Here we go. This is a real one. Your film was more boring than Church. All you did was blah, blah, blah.
Have you got a pencil? Give it here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I love how polite he was.
Yeah, that was great. It's a good line to say to Gibson as well, given that Gibson is kind of a hardcore Christian.
Yeah. Also,
the movie was more boring than church.
That because everyone's obviously liked the film, but when Gibson tries to sneak out, I love that as Wiggum like, "Hey, it's Mel Gibson! Everybody, run over there!" But like I said, yeah, Homer gives him the bad review. He doesn't know about it yet.
There's also a great, I don't know if it's a Hollywood inside gag or something, but they talk about Hollywood sex and was like Mel Gibson and Jack Valenti. Now, Jack Valenti, I think, was like the head of the Academy of
he was. Yeah.
You look him up, he's not the most handsome gentleman. He kind of looks a bit...
But he's powerful.
He's very powerful,
First
absolutely.
You get the power.
That's true.
Or the money.
Yeah. But I don't think he was on the other issue of rating the super hunks.
No, that's for damn sure. They're reading reviews on the plane on the way home. Everyone loved it. The 4 R's, but that fucking line delivery of despite the lack of flubber glaving. And then they find Homer's.
Come on, they can't all have loved it, despite absence of flubber, Glavin. Oh, here we go. Your movie was more boring than church. All you did was yak, yak, yak. You didn't even shoot anybody. Damn, I knew it.
Oh, don't do this to yourself, Mel. The guy's obviously a nut.
Maybe he's the only person with the guts to tell me the truth. Turn the plane around. I want to go to 742 Evergreen Terrace.
But you promised to help me move. Oh, jeez.
Landing the jet in the street, as movie stars want to do.
And then the doorbell rings. And then Homer's, Marge, door.
Yeah, I mean, that's
horrible husband.
That's jackass Homer.
Yeah, that is just like, come on, man. So basically, why is Gibson come, Guy? He's recruiting Homer.
Basically, yeah.
He's recruiting him for all the negative aspects of Homer's personality.
Well, Mel's surrounded by yes men. He's too nice and too beloved, and no one's going to lay.
He wants someone who's rude and
tell
obnoxious.
it like it is.
Yeah.
So because it's hell being Mel.
Yeah.
So he needs someone who's going to be 100% honest with him, and well, Homer was the only one who would do that.
I was like, if I don't pay my taxes, they pay for me. Oh, you poor man. But you mentioned earlier as well the line about this ring means she's my property. That just does not fly in 2020.
Yeah, that kind of lands very awkwardly. It's we know
what you're going for.
We know Homer's meant to be a dope, but still not good.
He should not think that that's okay to say ever. Yeah, so we asked for Homer's help, and so Homer immediately switches tunes. He's gone from wanting to punch out Mel to, oh my God, Mel Gibson wants my help.
We're all very easily seduced by celebrity, I think.
It's not like a worker talking about their boss behind their back, and then when the boss walks in, oh, hey, boss.
Yeah. Tell us more about that interesting anecdote about your thoughts on who's destroying the country today. Stuff along those lines. Can't wait to hear it.
Inside reference.
And from there, it's off to Hollywood.
Yes, it is off to Hollywood. And Marge, it's such a Marge thing. Hollywood, here we come. I just love that they take the piss out of that, because people always say that in film and TV.
Oh, yeah.
No one ever actually says that in real life, though. You don't go, football, here we come. Or do people do that?
If they do, they're not people you want to associate with. I'm pretty sure there are people who try to gin up a bit of enthusiasm, like, Gardenia Park, here we come. Yeah. Thanks, Mum.
Calm down, Mum.
Yes, exactly. And Lisa, of course. Hollywood, here we are. You don't have to do it every time.
Yeah. Now, they land at George Kennedy Airport.
They do.
Now, what's the references there, Mr. Davis?
George Kennedy was one of those Hollywood supporting actors. He was in the Naked Gun movies, but he was in the Airport movies as well. Yeah. One that's just called Airport 1975, and he might have been in Airport 79, the Concorde. He may be. We should check IMDb for that.
But yeah, he was in those movies. Yeah.
He was indeed, yeah. So, rather than, there's John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, and there's George Kennedy Airport in Los Angeles. It's not actually an airport.
But blink and you miss it, though.
Blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
A little Hollywood insider gag.
Yes.
And from there, it's off to Polystar Studios, where there is no artistic integrity beyond this point.
No.
Look, they're making a movie. Robert Downey Jr. is shooting it out with the police.
I don't see any cameras.
But now it's time for Homer to go hang out with Mel and try and fix this film.
In the editing room.
His suggestions are terrible but hilarious.
Terrible, yeah, but also not inaccurate in some ways. I mean, the hat montage that he mentioned was actually a thing for a while.
Was it really?
Yeah, in early 90s Julia Roberts movies, I mean, I think there were at least 2 or 3 back-to-back where she I'm trying on new clothes. Oh, I'm having fun doing it. Here's me in a hat.
Actually, they even do it in the Mighty Ducks.
Well, they're either doing it for real or they're taking the piss. But no, clothes montages were...
Dumb and Dumber does it?
Quite probably.
In the Pretty Woman scene.
Well, that's the thing, because Pretty Woman sort of kicked it off. But Julia Roberts did it more than a few times, and she's like, I'm having fun with a hat.
Yeah.
Okay, this opening scene should be in fast motion. Everybody likes that because it looks funny.
Mr. Smith is coming to Washington. He's really honored. That could be bad news for us corrupt politicians. Well, even if he is, big deal. How do you figure? Well, if he doesn't play ball, we'll teach him a thing or two, if you know what I mean. Goodbye. See ya.
Look at that.
I don't think so.
Okay, here you need a musical montage where you try on lots of funny hats. It'll let us see your playful side.
No.
Yeah, but
Just no.
Mel's starting to realise, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, even though Homer does have one very good idea that the cinemas did pick up on, seats with beverage holders. They
Did they not have them back then?
They weren't always there.
Wow.
I don't know
I've just
when
always known them to be there.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things about being older, Dan. You remember the time when you had to actually hold your drink in your hand like a bloody savage.
That would be really annoying.
It was a bit.
Having to hold it there?
Yeah.
Something so simple.
Then add popcorn to the mix.
Yeah.
You're holding two things. What?
So the family are now on the Hollywood tour, and they get where the restaurant used to be. And it's now in a homeless area, and we get the Hugh Grant gag.
Yes.
And on your left is the notorious spot where Hugh Grant filmed the movie 9 Months.
Ew.
Elaborate. 9 months. Ew.
Ew. Okay.
So now Homer is showing Gibson his... Gibson and Homer are showing the executives the new film, and they're pretty excited for it. Gibson's a bit nervous, isn't he?
He is a little bit nervous.
Yeah. Now, there's a moment here when they're counting down, and Homer says, "Here comes 2." That's a throwback to Grandpa saying it in the episode Natural Born Kisses when they find the old Casablanca.
Oh.
And they're playing it, and Grandpa says, "Here comes 2." I just love that. It's like a little family thing.
Son. Family tradition.
That's really, really appreciate that little throwback. But yeah, Guy, your thoughts on the remake? On the violent Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington?
Yes, I think it betrays the message of the original. I mean, it's funny. I was watching the very violent climax of Mel's remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I think there's some stage where some guy gets impaled on the flagpole or something.
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah, and I was looking at it going, I'm pretty sure Mel Gibson actually did that in a real movie.
Did he really?
And then sort of did a little research because I thought he did it in The Patriot, that sort of. I think it's a Civil War movie that came out the year later from the guys who made Independence Day and all that kind of stuff. It had Heath Ledger in it. It was like one of Heath Ledger's first big roles. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the bad guy got killed by Mel impaling him on like an American flag.
Okay, so maybe it was that was a tribute to that. Yeah,
yeah, but no, he didn't.
Okay,
in the end. But I mean, but he does sort of ride. He rides in a battle with this sort of hand stitched American flag, and it's all very.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that clip on the trailer or something. Yeah,
it's very rah rah. But look, for the moment the fact that there was doubt in my mind was like, did Mel Gibson actually stab someone with an American flag? He probably could have done it. That sort of speaks about the kind of movies that he was making and the kind of persona that he had.
I just loved Homer's press hat.
I like that he gets a cameo in there as well.
Yeah. Here comes 2.
Well, I'm not licked. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause. Somebody will listen to me. Somebody will.
I believe the senator has yielded the floor.
Yield this, Senator Payne. I move we impose some serious term limit.
I second that motion with a vengeance.
All in favor? Say die.
But also I love that because I think, Mel Gibson's a pretty big Three Stooges fan. I mean,
is he really? Okay, so that's why he did it, is it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought it was a bit random to just have it in there, but it makes sense if he's a big fan. Yeah.
I think certainly in the first Lethal Weapon there's a bit of whoop, 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 whoop.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he sort of tries to fold a little bit into a few movies, but when the minute that there's a whoop, 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 it's not Gibson without a Stooges riff.
The executives are not fans at all, though, are they? What? Mr. Smith kill everybody?
You'd think that they'd be all in for a violent Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah.
That's very Patriot. I mean, like I said, the Patriot made a shit ton of movie next year, and that's about as subtle as being stabbed to death with an American flag. So.
Yeah, it's with the dumb executives don't want this type of film. They want the nicer version.
Yeah, which I love that Homer's trying to stick up for it being smart. It was symbolism. He was mad. Yes, but they're not happy about it. I mean, they're saying, what is it? Do they say it's worse than Godfather 3?
That was a great reference, wasn't it?
That was pretty good.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Let's not say something about that. Godfather 3 is actually not that bad. It's
just not as good as 1 and 2.
It pales in comparison to 1 and 2, which are, among the finest movies ever made, and 3 is...
When has 3 ever been the best?
Rocky 3?
You reckon Rocky 3 is the best?
I don't think it's the best, but I think it
still holds up.
Yeah,
but there's Return of the Jedi holds up.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad 3s.
Yeah. But see, I guess Return of the Jedi wasn't so much a third movie in a trilogy. It was, but it was a continuation of the story.
It was, yeah. I mean, now there's how do you feel about them calling it the Skywalker saga? I think it's an excuse.
It's just branding.
It really is an excuse to sort of sell you a 9 DVD set, isn't it? Or a 9 disc set.
Also, they needed to do that because they needed to be able to say this is the end of the Skywalker saga.
That's a good point.
We can fucking finally move on.
That's a good point. Yeah. Let's close the book on this one. And
there's going to be no more Luke, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. As much as you love him, he's gone. But so this was supposed to be their prestige film. He mentions Howard's End and Sophie's Choice. Now, Guy, explain why those movies are prestigious.
Well, let's see. They're based on sort of well-regarded novels. I mean, Howard's End, and they're the kind of movie that you maybe take your mum to back in the day. Although
they won Academy Awards, people in it won Academy Awards.
That is true. I mean, Sophie's Choice is one of Meryl Streep's early roles, which she's very, very good in it. They're kind of usually set a few years earlier, and people are wrestling with tough emotional stuff. So, I think Mr. Smith actually won one Oscar. It was nominated for like 11 back in 1939, which was a really good year for movies. So, anything with that sort of brand on it and the Mel Gibson brand on it, he'd done well at the Oscars, like with Braveheart a few years earlier.
Yeah, okay.
So they're clearly thinking...
And Emma Thompson won the other Academy Award.
Oh, for Howard's End, yeah. I've forgotten who... I don't know if Meryl Streep actually won for Sophie's Choice.
She did, yeah.
She did?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
But Sophie's Choice is pretty rough stuff. I mean... If the term Sophie's Choice has kind of entered the vernacular in some way as just like a really bad decision that you have to make, because I'm not going to spoil what Sophie's decision or Sophie's Choice is, but it's pretty gnarly.
The Gibson new version of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is not going to be a prestige film at all, is it?
Probably not. I mean, I imagine the first, 90 minutes or so would be stirring tale of, the little guy and democracy and, the system works and all that. And then it just turns into a bloodbath. So, yeah.
But what he says...
But having said, we talked about Hacksaw Ridge earlier. I mean, that Mel Gibson movie that actually was nominated for like Best Picture and a few other things. You watch the second half of that when they actually go to Hacksaw Ridge.
Is it intense?
Bodies are getting blown apart.
Oh, really?
Or, limbs are getting ripped off. War is literally hell.
Yeah.
In this case. So,
look at 1917 got nominated.
1917
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Look, a lot of very violent movies do get nominated. But yeah.
They're also going to have a good story, though.
They do.
Can't just be violence for the sake of violence.
No, not as with...
Not in the White
case
House.
Of this, plus where he's doing the little Homer running around with a machine gun on the tape.
Another great throwback. Yeah,
that is good.
But here where Gibson says, I make films for guys like him. Who are you anyway? Guys like me. I love the fact that Gibson's just brought this guy in, never explained to the executives why he's there, but it's Mel Gibson, he's the biggest star, you're just going to do what he says.
Pretty much.
And then Homer wants an executive producer role. Let's talk. What's more important, like producer or director, in your opinion?
Producers are usually the guys who sort of bring it all together. They're usually the ones who hire the directors. Unless the director is really sort of well-known or a brand name. But, producers are probably responsible for... Okay, we need this person to do the music. We need this person to shoot it. We need, this guy's a pretty good editor, and let's try and organise to get this actor and this actor and this actor. And there's a lot of logistics involved. Look, this is to the best of my knowledge. Whereas, directors actually calling the shots on the set, the producers calling the shots behind the scenes.
So the producer is not the director's boss.
Pretty much, usually the case, and then the producer's usually answering to the studio or something like that. Yeah, I'd say the director's probably the most important person on set, and the producer is the most important person off the set.
Okay, cool.
I reckon, but look, that's that's coming to you from the showbiz epicenter of Geelong. So, if someone's got a better explanation, or feel free to disagree or contradict me in any way, folks, if you think you're smarter than me. You think you're smarter than me? Probably are.
No one doesn't. Ed Christian grabs the copy of the film and says, we have to destroy this before anybody sees it. And They run off with it, don't they? Homer and Mel steal it.
And they're off, and it's a
Yes.
chase around the...
They're in a golf cart. Was it a golf cart? What are those carts called? The ones that drive around the studio?
I think they actually do call them golf carts.
It's like golf buggies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us the film!
Never!
And on your left, you'll see Rainier Wolfcastle filming his latest movie, Saving Irene Ryan.
You put me down, you big lummox! Yeah!
Shut up, old lady, and stop kicking me there.
Watch out! Coming through! No!
Homer! Landmine!
I'm on it!
Right, Mr. Gibson.
Night, Gus! Oh, I'm getting too old for this crap.
Now, Gibson is about to give up, and which I thought was very un-Gibson-like. I feel like Gibson would be in for the fight. He wouldn't give up and let the executives win in real life.
True, but they've been saying, they've been hinting all the way through that he's a bit insecure and a bit...
Yeah, that's true. He has been insecure. Yeah. He suggests the museum. Is it Homer suggesting the museum? Yeah, they do. It's just a nice way of having the stories intertwined because the family are there on their tour.
The stories have finally come together.
Yeah.
Nice work, Mike Scully.
Yes, and it felt organic. So we mentioned that. So the Monkey Mobile was the other one I forgot, by the way. Herbie the Love Bug, Dukes of Hazzard General Lee, and the Monkey Mobile was the ones I forgot to mention in the trivia.
Great eye for detail.
You wanted to rant about the Road Warrior car.
I did. Well, that's the thing. I mean,
is it going to be Old Man Guy or?
It's very much so because, well, Mad Max 2, aka the Road Warrior, renamed the Road Warrior for the States. And then there was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure that the car that they call the Road Warrior car is actually a car from Beyond Thunderdome. I don't think we saw it in the Road Warrior, aka Mad Max. Although, look, I might have to do a little revisit the whole thing. But honestly, God, I mean,
it's surprising they would make that mistake considering the episode's called Beyond Blunderdome.
Yeah.
I'm just going to Google Mad Max 2 car, but continue.
Well, it's not the Intercept that you see in Mad Max 2, but it just looks like one that I remember from Beyond Thunderdome.
Okay.
More sort of a big jalopy kind of thing.
Okay, well, it's not that one. I'm going to Google Mad Max 3 car, and you are right. It's the Mad Max 3 car.
There we go. I'm going to take back some of the nice things about you I said about you, Mike Scully.
I just love that you're sitting there going, that's not right.
That's not quite correct.
Well, I wonder how they made the mistake.
Oh, look, I think they probably needed a car that's a bit more wide open. They need to fit everybody on.
But why wouldn't they just call it from Mad Max 3?
I don't know.
Who knows?
This is why we're doing a podcast about The Simpsons and those guys are making The Simpsons.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But anyway, it was just, what I did like was that they were able to use the fact that they were in the car with the dummy later on with the chase.
But nobody sells tickets.
Yes. But if you put that in the trailer, I can't remember what the commercial was like, but if you put that in the ad, you could have very easily made it out like they actually killed Gibson.
True.
Before you actually went in watching it. Because the dummy looked like Gibson.
It did, yeah. I mean, I initially thought, oh, wow, what's going on there?
So they take the Road Warrior car, as we said, and it's just cool to see Gibson behind the wheel again.
It is. There are some actors it's good to see them holding a gun or holding a steering wheel. I'll tell you what, the late Paul Walker of Fast and Furious fame, he wasn't much chop as an actor, let's be honest. The dude looked good driving a car. He looked like he was legitimately enjoying himself. He knew how to sort of pull good driving faces, like, I'm pulling one now. You can't see it.
But in real life, he just loved driving cars.
He did, yeah. So it sort of bled through. And and there are some people who just look good doing certain things, and Mel's one of them.
Gibson being an action star, yeah. Gibson wants to give up again, but this is where we get Homer's movies aren't stupid speech.
Forget it, Homer. Let's just give him the stupid movie.
Movies aren't stupid. They fill us with romance and hatred and revenge fantasies. Lethal Weapon showed us that suicide is funny.
That really wasn't my intention.
Before Lethal Weapon 2, I never thought there could be a bomb in my toilet, but now I check every time.
It's true, he does.
Movies mean that much to you, Homer?
They're my only escape from the drudgery of work and family. No offense.
But Gibson agrees to get going. Everyone drives, and the whole family drives off in the car. And we get Adam West here, but I forgot to mention before. Yeah.
Now, is it
I don't think it actually is Adam West.
But someone doing a very good Adam West.
Yeah.
It's a better Adam West than it is Droller, but I'm not even going to try to do an Adam West, but that Adam West and Burt Ward, I think.
Now, you mentioned at the start that you love the Chinese Man's Theatre.
I think it's just a nice little throwaway joke, certainly.
But they're just driving through Hollywood. Bart wants his picture taken, and Marge has wasted the last photo on Judge Judy. You just know this was made now. There'd be all just phones out. It just bothers me how when things are happening now, everyone has to pull their phone out.
Oh, yeah.
But just enjoy the moment. Yeah. Mel Gibson's fucking driving down the streets of Hollywood on some fucking Mad Max 3 car. Just check it out.
Go wide.
Take it in. Gibson, this was almost one of my favourite moments.
Let me try something. Take the wheel, Lisa.
But my dad...
I said you.
And he's got his real Mel Gibson. I take you.
Yeah, like he clearly wanted to do the show and really put in a solid performance.
Oh yeah,
I think his performance on The Simpsons is one of the most underrated guest appearances ever.
I think
whenever you hear of like best guest appearances, you never hear of Gibson, but this was fantastic.
It was just appealing all the way through. I mean, it's very, very funny. It's very likable.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
And the writers understand him as well.
Yeah.
So the executives think they've got them.
Oh no! We killed Mel Gibson!
You all saw it. He came at me with a knife, right?
Wait a minute. He's just a dummy.
I know, but he sells tickets. Let's go.
Now, how do they stop them from getting them?
Oh, with butt.
With butt.
Yeah. Mel's butt was a very big deal.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a scene in the first Lethal Weapon where he sort of wakes up and he's in his crummy trailer and he wakes up and he's completely nude and sort of walking around like, well, Mel's in good shape. Ooh. And yes, he's clearly been working the glutes. So, I think for a while they were like, that Mel Gibson's dream. I mean, that's probably one of the things that made him a super hunk. But, yes. And I think he showed it on a fair few occasions. And, I recognize Mel Gibson, but anyway, I don't know who those other two guys are.
That's so good. Also there, are you okay? I think so. No.
Nope. Incredible stopping power, that butt.
And we get the new screening, and the crowd absolutely hate it this time.
They do. A Gibson-Simpson joint, by the way, because Spike Lee, who was very big at this time, I think he was the first and maybe only filmmaker who would bill his films as a Spike Lee joint.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, rather than, at the start it would say like a Martin Scorsese picture or a Steven Spielberg film. It's like, it's a Spike Lee joint. Yeah. It's very sort of, I don't know if he still does it, but yeah, certainly from his first movies on, it became such a thing that you could take the piss a little bit. And, so if a very white person is making movies, like, it's an Adam Sandler joint or something. But yeah, I thought that was a nice little throwaway gag as well.
I want to do a podcast with Adam Sandler one day as well.
About?
Just about how his career resurgence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because he was at the bottom of Hollywood in regards to, not star quality, but just quality.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's really starting to earn the respect of people.
Well, it sort of comes in ebbs and flows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll make something really
that stand-up was fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that Netflix, is it phone, wallet, keys? If you haven't YouTubed that, guys, by the way, if you haven't got Netflix, go on YouTube, look up phone, wallet, keys. It's fucking hilarious.
But to do that and then Uncut Gems at the same time, this guy's got a lot more going on than you thought.
Yeah. But we'll do that in another podcast. But yeah, stay tuned for the Adam Sandler tribute podcast. So no one likes it. Jimmy Stewart's granddaughter's going to sue them. And then
does she slap someone in the face? Does she slap
slaps Mel, I think. Yeah. And Homer's, what is that? We should have used a dog.
And as Gibson points out, I guess there's no room in today's crazy gentle America for violent dinosaurs like us.
Homer thinks that the partnership's still on, gets into the car with him.
He's pitching ideas, one of which wasn't bad.
I can't remember.
Oh, no, actually, they're all bad.
They're all pretty bad. But I just Indiana Jones. Does anyone own the rights to that? Mel, I fell out.
They did. Oh, he does pitch it. What about a prequel? Everybody loves prequels. And this was around the time that...
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, that's hilarious. Yeah. So Star Wars came out in the June, I think, prior.
Yeah, but same year, absolutely. And then I think, that's a pretty... I mean, it gets thrown out of the car. He's sort of like, Mel, throw her out. And like, is that how they win? It's not a bit of a soft ending.
Cue the dog.
Cue the shifty dog.
And it works. It's actually, I don't know why, it's just so funny.
It is. I mean, have they only sort of alluded to the shifty dog once in the thing?
Well, Homer says you should have a shifty dog doing this.
Yeah. That way you'll know he's bad.
Yeah. And then
About halfway through the episode, I think. So,
yeah, and then just at the end where he goes, we should have had the dog.
Yeah.
The dog works.
The dog does actually work. It's just a good note to end on. And then we roll the credits. But if you stick around to the very end of the credits, over the Gracie, you hear a whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh, do you?
You do.
Ah, fuck, I pushed stop. I shouldn't have done that.
That's right. But I'm trying to remember which of the Stooges does that. I think it's Curly.
It's Curly, yeah. Oh.
So there we go.
So
But,
overall, yeah, like I said, a great performance from Gibson and Burns as well. We can't forget Burns. Enough references from for film nerds to appreciate, but also just a solid story that didn't really need a B-plot.
I don't think it did.
A good season opener. Star power. It's funny. Yeah.
It looks good. Yeah. It's got the good combination of verbal gags and visual gags. There's a lot going on in this episode. Thumbs up.
Jamil is here.
Ooh. Jonathan Rossi. Here's a fun one. Ooh. Who is one celebrity, living or dead, that you would love to go on an adventure with, similar to what Homer went on with Mel Gibson? Robin Williams, circa 1981.
Oh, yeah.
On a bender. Imagine a Robin Williams bender in the 80s.
Oh, good Lord, yeah. And he'd be coked to the gills and just operating on double speed. Yeah.
Imagine a car ride, but Belushi and Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah. You'd be
Can
lucky
you imagine?
You'd be lucky to make it through the night.
Oh.
I reckon...
someone to go on an adventure with.
Yeah. This is going very, very old school, but, like the original Rat Pack, like Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and that. I mean, hanging out in Vegas with those guys and Dean Martin. And
they were just so fucking cool.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. You treat yourself to a sharp suit. And
Have you seen Sinatra and Dean Martin? I think it's on Johnny Carson.
I have not. I actually saw Sinatra live.
Bullshit.
I did.
Wow, where?
Yeah, it was at I think it might be Margaret Court Arena now, but it was, this was back in like 88 or 89. I was like fresh out of high school.
I didn't realize that venue's been there for so long.
Yeah. It was like, one of those big Melbourne sporting venues, but, it had been turned into an arena for this thing. I think it was Sinatra, Liza Minnelli, and I don't know if Sammy Davis was still alive then, but there were three of the big names.
Yeah.
And a few friends of mine, we're only young, we're about 19 or so, but we were fancied ourselves as, sophisticates. So we were in coat and tie. We're way, way up in the nosebleeds. I mean, it could have been bloody wax figurines of, Sinatra on there for all we could say. Plus it was stinking hot. It was like summer.
Okay.
It was like 40 degrees and we're undercover.
Indoors?
And up near the top. We're like, I think this might have been a bad idea. But
then Sinatra comes out.
But having said that, you get to be, in the same room as Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that influences my decision, but that's mine. A night with the Rat Pack in Vegas. Circa 1957.
Early 60s, late 60s.
Yeah.
Fucking Vegas. That would have been fantastic.
Oh, God, yeah.
just their ability to be able to just put on a show on the spot. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
Yeah. But making out with Belushi and Robin Williams and
on a bender.
the Chateau Marmont in the early 80s. Oof.
Okay, so Andrew Parker, what film would be most improved by the addition or removal of a shifty dog? A shifty dog.
Shifty dog.
Dun, 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 dun. Knives Out.
Oh. I was going to say JFK and have it lurking around the grassy knoll. This dog trotting away from the grassy knoll. Like, ooh, there's another suspect. But Knives Out is very good. Does it already have a shifty dog, or no? It's just got a friendly dog.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't do the eyes.
I'd love it doing a little shift off with Daniel Craig, sort of.
Ryan Johnson, if you're listening.
Yeah, we've heard you're making a sequel. Get a shifty dog in there.
And I feel like Knives Out is one of those films where it would work.
It would, actually.
It'd be so absurd. Look at the dog. It's the dog, I tell you.
Knives Out is a very good
one. Brandon Twitcher, what's his question? What movie ending would you change? Why and how would you change it? Jesus, that's a pretty open-ended question.
Oh, man.
Let's come back to that one on another episode, you reckon?
I reckon so, yeah. But it's certainly a good question, yeah. But,
it's one you don't want to just throw out an answer to. Harry Leach says, and this is one for you. You're the movie guy. What's your favourite movie remake ever?
Ooh. I'm very partial to John Carpenter's remake of The Thing.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it?
It's such a great movie. And the original's really good too. It's very much a sort of a 1950s monster movie, but, pretty smart and got good dialogue and good characters and all that. But, the thing about a good remake is it takes the core idea and takes it in not a completely different direction, but, does something new with it.
Feels familiar, but also different, yeah.
Yeah, very much. I mean, we had a rash of horror remakes and other remakes in the early 2000s. And like,
one of my most disappointing ones that I was really amped for was War of the Worlds.
was a bit of a letdown.
It was just, I get it's a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
So it's Spielberg's take on War of the Worlds. But I went there for fucking Independence Day and I got a family film.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah. And like when the sun runs over the hill into the giant ball of flames and somehow he beats them back home.
Yeah. A bit confused about that in all honesty. I think there's a lot to like in War of the Worlds, but yeah, with the Spielberg name and the Cruise name, you may be expecting something different and a little bit let down. You're right.
I know it is a good remake and people will shit can me for this. The Aladdin remake, the live action.
Did you? Yeah. What did you like about it?
I thought the music was better than the original.
Really?
I will stand by that. If you fucking put the original soundtrack on and the new one is so much more Bollywood and just loud and vibrant. And it's just, I thought Will Smith.
Do you like Big Will?
Yeah, I thought he shut the critics up because everyone was chicaning the special effects. And I kept saying, and I was guilty of that, but I sort of had in the back of my mind, maybe they haven't finished yet. Maybe the special effects aren't quite up to where they need them to be. He looked fine in the movie, and I thought he brought his own unique twist to the Genie character, and that's what he needed to do.
Absolutely. I mean,
he couldn't try and be Robin Williams.
No. And I mean, I think there aren't many actors around who have that sort of larger-than-life personality that could actually do justice to the role and do their own thing at the same time. I mean, I don't think there are many sort of, big-name actors who could actually do that. And I think he's probably the only one, in all honesty.
Well, I think it was a good option because he also appeals to the demo who saw the original Aladdin.
That's true, yeah.
The only thing I feel like they missed out on was... So you've seen the film, obviously. Mm-hmm. When he's going through the different outfits for Prince Ali, he should have cut to him in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air outfit. That should have been done.
It would have been good. It's a nice touch.
One more question. Let's go for one more question.
Mm-hmm.
This one's from Jet Gordon. Okay, it's a bit of a longer one. Was this The Simpsons warning us back in 1999 that Hollywood will run out of original ideas and they will simply just start remaking perfectly good films and it will always end poorly? Some reboots are good, but I'd prefer they didn't extend these old licenses.
Yeah, it's a good question because...
it's like those new Star Wars films. I was so excited, but by the third one, I was like, I wish these weren't here anymore.
Yeah, sometimes you think...
The idea is good, but then once it arrives and you watch it and you go, I didn't really need that.
Yeah, we're not getting sequels so much, or remakes so much these days as reboots.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sort of taking, hey, remember the stuff you liked from the original? We're going to bring some of these older actors back and, but we'll start off on a whole new story that'll be pretty much the same as the old story.
The female Ghostbusters was a perfect example.
Yeah, but I mean, certainly the new Star Wars trilogy is a really good example of that.
The new Men in Black films?
Yeah. I mean,
that wasn't a bad movie, but it just was an unnecessary movie.
I thought it was a bad movie.
Okay, yeah. Well, I didn't...
There's one or two good examples of it. I mean, I thought, like the first Creed, for example, I mean, I think that does a really good job of bringing together all the stuff from, the Rocky universe.
Yep.
And finding a new way and a new character through which to express it.
Appeals to old and new fans. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I didn't think much of Creed 2. I thought they were trying to sort of fold too much of the old stuff in there. It's like, no, this guy's off on his own journey now. Now, admittedly, Drago did kill his dad, so it'd be interesting having...
Spoiler.
Him. Who wouldn't seen... Well, I think a lot of people haven't seen Creed 2. But the gist of it is Creed has to fight the son of the man who killed his father. So that's pretty interesting. But at the same time, it's like, no, you're relying too much on stuff that's happened in the past. Move forward.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think of JJ's Star Trek series?
I liked him.
I thought he did a good job.
I really did. Yeah, I think he was.
I think he made those films enjoyable for people who don't want to like the old Star Trek. Because I think Star Trek's one of those ones where Star Wars is more appealing, in my opinion, than Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Star Trek still has that stigma of, it's just for the real super nerds, which I still think it kind of is, a Star Trek franchise.
That's the thing. I mean, I've never really got into many of the TV series at all. I mean,
not that that wasn't by choice. I just didn't gravitate towards it. You know what I mean?
No, I was always more a Star Wars guy than a Star Trek guy, but I liked his movies a lot.
Yeah. It's Chris Hemsworth's start, wasn't it? The first Star Trek?
He was, yeah.
Wasn't he?
He was Kirk's dad.
Yeah.
And I think they were going to sort of try and pull some tricky time travel stuff, and Hemsworth will be back for the fourth one, but I don't think they're doing that now.
Okay.
Yeah, look, in response to this question from...
This question here was from Jet Gordon.
Jet. Yeah, look, I think you've got a point. It was part of indicating that originality was going to be running a bit low at some stage.
Was it in 1999?
Didn't really feel that way, in honesty. I mean, look, a lot of people regard 99 as one of the best years for movies ever. And if you look...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole...
Was that Fight Club?
Fight Club's that year. The Matrix is that year.
Oh, of course, The Matrix, yeah.
There's actually a book out. I think it's called Best Movie Year Ever. I mean, that title's a bit of comic book guy hyperbole, but it sort of looks at, there's a lot of really good movies, a lot of original movies that came out that year. Iron Giant is 1999.
Of course it is, yeah.
Yeah. So
you say that because there's a giant Iron Giant statue.
He's looming over me saying, "Don't forget me."
Yeah. Disney weren't really in their prime in '99, though.
No, I mean, I think their big animation thing had sort of hit its peak with Lion King, and now we were kind of in the Hercules,
Mulan was '98, I think.
Yeah, Tarzan era, which you know, all perfectly fine, but a bit far from the glory days.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Pixar was coming in with its own. Toy Story 2 is 1999.
No, it's 98.
Is it?
Yeah, 95, 98.
Oh, my mistake, sorry.
I believe. I don't want to question you because I'm nervous now.
No.
But it was around that time anyway.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 came out in 1999. You are correct, sir. Why would I ever question? This is why, guys, you never question Guy Davis.
You please often question Guy Davis. Yeah, but in terms of, I mean...
sorry to interrupt. Do you know Toy Story 2 has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes?
For real?
Yeah. I don't think I've watched Toy Story 2 in a long time.
I think it's probably not. I don't know if it's the saddest one. I really enjoyed it.
I remember not liking it as much as when I was a child, when it first came out, not liking it as much as the original. I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
But as far as Pixar stuff goes, I mean, everyone talks about like that scene, the opening scene of Us or Up. Sorry. Not Us. That's a wholly different movie.
I knew what you meant, though.
Yeah, but that,
holy shit.
As like, but I mean, the song, is it When She Loved Me in Toy Story 2?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much as, just a belt to the heart as much. So
Pixar are so good at that.
Oh, they're very, very good at that.
That closing, I mention this all the time in the podcast, that final sequence, not the final sequence, but close to it in Toy Story where you think they're all going to get melted.
Oh, yeah.
Holy Christmas, man. Whew.
It does a number on you. A lot of they're really, really good at that kind of thing.
There was a moment in the cinema where I'm sitting next to Nicola going, they're going to do it. They're going to kill these fucking characters. And my heart started racing. I was like, you can't do this to me. But anyway, continue.
But it wasn't really until the early 2000s that we got things like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Harry Potter franchise, and they were like,
was it 2001, Harry Potter, the first
I think
one?
so, yes.
And that was when the first Lord of the Rings was as well.
Yeah.
And we got the Planet of the Apes.
Which we thought was going to be a huge franchise and wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think that was the stage when it, like, hey, rather than have sequels that are sort of only a bit related to one another, let's have huge sagas.
Yep.
The MCU was probably in the planning stages before that. But
was Iron Man 2008?
Iron Man was 2008.
Yeah, okay.
But, X-Men was coming out, and I think that was...
Of course, X-Men, that was 2000.
As well. Yeah. So, I think that, you're right, this was around the time when they were starting to think, let's try to lock these people in for 8 movie sagas or, at least a trilogy.
Yep.
So, look, it was probably an indication of where things were going.
I feel like, we're sort of saying here that, that we consider this the reboot era, but in 20 years from now, we'll probably look back and go, oh, fuck, weren't movies. They don't make them like they used to. They don't reboot films like they used to. But anyway, guys, that is our review of Beyond Blunderdome. I hope you enjoyed this marathon of a review. It was fun.
It has been indeed. Yes, we might try to keep it.
Thank you for taking this seat and keeping this show going. I really do appreciate it. I'm really excited to see where we can take this show now.
I'm very excited to be part of it. Thank you very much for letting me park my comfortable bum here. In further episodes, we might try to tighten it up a little bit.
I'll try not to come out with a bang, basically.
You've certainly got the family
6-hour show,
family-sized bag of chips with this opening episode. But look, pleasure to be here, and we'll just keep filling your ears with delightfully creamy content.
Yes, and don't forget, guys, you don't have to be a patron to contribute to the mailbag. So send your questions through to mailbag@fourfigurediscount.com.au. Guy and I will read each and every question that gets sent through, and we'll answer them on the air.
Dando will. I'll read them.
And we'll answer them on the air. Thank you guys once again for listening. Next week, we're going to be reviewing Brother's Little Helper. Now, this episode is where Bart gets put on drugs, like a Ritalin kind of drug, after he's diagnosed with ADHD. So far more serious than the Mel Gibson episode. It's very sort of like Bart thinks there's conspiracies going around. That's what this episode's about.
We look forward to discussing it with you at that time.
Anyway, guys, thank you once again. Guy, any final words for the listeners?
Yes, indeed. They may take our 4 fingers, but they'll never take our discount.
Shh.